Good evening to everybody. On behalf of Philosophy family, I would like to extend a happy wishes to all of you to be associated with the Sunday webinar of Philosophy family. And today we have a very beautiful topic: understanding philosophy of film through the lens of Satyajit Ray. And today we have invited Dr. Arnab Kumar Mukhopadhyay, Philosophy, Presidency University, West Bengal. And it is a now the researchers are working on the philosophy of film. And before the talk of Dr. Arnab Mukhopadhyay, we have already listened some talks on the philosophy of film, and it is a good topic for all of us. How we can get philosophical reflection from different films, and particularly when we take the films of Dr. Satyajit Ray, we can see a new way of looking at the things, a very rethinking approach is found in Satyajit Ray's films. That will be of Dr. Arnab Kumar Mukhopadhyay. I extend my welcome to Dr. Arnab Kumar Mukhopadhyay for being agreeing with us to deliver a talk on this very pertinent issue. And you know, the creation of film is an aesthetic manifestation of human life and values through the artistic expression. And today, Dr. Arnab Kumar Mukhopadhyay will reflect all the things that is not known to us, and he will unfold different philosophical reflection approach which he has found in his research. Today, on this occasion, I extend my welcome to all the senior professors of our country and abroad to be associated with us. Professor Vishnu Chaudhary Sir, Professor Avinash, Professor Pramad Spandita, Professor Soma, Professor Sanjukta, and all other great persons to be associated with us. We extend a happy welcome to all of them. Dr. Pramod Kumar Das, the Chief Architect of Philosophy Family, the host and convener. I also extend my welcome to Dr. Om Naran Rao, the moderator of Philosophy Family. And with this, once again, I extend my welcome to all of you that I can see some of the names and I cannot see some of other names. I extend welcome to all of you and request Professor Arnab Kumar Mukhopadhyay to reflect on the philosophical dimension of understanding feelings through the lens of Satyajit Ray. Over to Dr. Mukhopadhyay.
Thank you very much. Am I? I believe I'm
Yes,
audible. Thank you very
clearly,
much,
clearly.
one. And after seeing some of my teachers here, this is enough to make me very nervous in whatever I am going to share. Kindly spare me 1 minute so that I can share my screen.
Yes, 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 you do, you do.
Is the screen visible?
Yes, sir, visible, sir, visible.
Okay, thank you. So today, as Avinash sir just stated, that I will throw on the entire topic of Satyajit Ray's film from the perspective of philosophy of film. This is nearly an impossible task, but some of the findings I would like to share with all of you. And before we start our discussion, just we have to, I just request everyone to understand that since we have been talking on film from the philosophical perspective, so occasionally I have to take in recourse to some of the videos, some of the sequence, some of the scenes, some of the animations, and discussion will go on with respect to that. However, I assure everyone that I will try my level best to finish it off and wrap up my discussion within the stipulated time. And I try my level best to discuss the basic introduction of what philosophy of film is. How can a film do philosophy using its language Satyajit Roy and some of his and instantiating by means of one of his films. So let us proceed. First thing is that we can see there are two pictures. What is the basic difference between these two pictures? The once on the one side of the frame, we can see that it is a animated picture, a person riding on a horse, and we can find a piece of Altamira cave painting where it is now it was in only 2014 onwards, people started realizing that this was not some very different kind of animal which is now extinct. Rather, they have tried somehow to recreate the motion of this animal. And our journey starts from here only. The term cinema, as we commonly understand it, it comes from the term kinema. And what does kinema means? Kinematics. It's a branch of dynamics which deals with different aspects of motion, with all its dimension, with all its directions. However, apart from consideration of its mass and force. This is the basic principle in a understandable, reasonable language, the basic principle of kinematics. Now, the thing is, as in the discourse of philosophy, Reich and Schicker has defined this particular domain. They maintain that a film, a cinema, is a piece, one medium which basically cuts across diversities of abilities of human being, of different objects, and different human abilities, background, and different communication modes. When a film, they say, is effectively uh, integrated all these things into curriculum, its discourse, it touches upon a wide variety of skill areas. But I find this particular definition is a very obviously it's a sound definition, but it is very difficult to understand. So let us move on and try to understand things from the very first line. Let us, for the sake of our discussion, let us assume as a working characterization. I'm not saying this is a definition, a working characterization. The philosophy of film, it shares its characteristics with the field in general. That is, with the philosophical field in general. So there are definitely certain things which are essential for doing any kind of philosophy, must fulfill the philosophy of film. It has to. So it must address first the grounds for its own existence. Why the film at all, as an art form, as an aesthetic form, whatever, in whichever way we conceive it, why it is there, and why should I at all engage myself to interact with this. This involves particular field should look like, the field of film, but also that whether it has any reason at all to exist, to circulate any message, or maybe for some other reason. And all these things in philosophy of film now shares it as at the one hand some characteristics in general with the philosophy. Now it the exact demarcating area, if we consider, then we will find it clarifies the concepts, different concepts, ideas, thoughts, and critically evaluates a film from basically three aspects. One, from the literary aspects, by means of which it demarcates itself from the literature. Secondly, from the theoretical aspects, by means of which it demarcates itself from the philosophy of fine arts. And third, the cinematic aspect. Now, here we find some internal and outer or external questions by means of which this whole thing, this whole critical evaluation and this whole philosophizing actually takes place. Some of them are in the domain of philosophy of film, is called the inner questions, which are in isolation from the social, historical, moral, or any other branches of philosophy. Mostly, it deals with the meta theoretical question of the theory of making, nature of physical status itself as an art form, and so many others. And some are, as even as Eisenstein would say, are external questions. That is, these are very fundamental context with relation to theory in making, the thesis or the thoughts, the ideas that I am going to present in this particular film. Its authorhood, its personhood, society, societal domination, problems, interactions, in fact, overall different philosophical issues or overall philosophy. Now, there comes another questions, that is film as philosophy. Here, we need to understand that uh, from the perspective of its approach, from the dimension of its approach rather, the use of film can do philosophy. This is the basic claim. That means the use of film or films for doing some particular kind of philosophy. And if we ask this from the questionnaire dimension, what is the philosophical value of the film? Can that film, maybe one particular film, be a form of any philosophy particular, or a juxtaposition of different philosophies? Can films at all do philosophy? What enables this films to engage with different form of philosophy? These are the different questionnaires. Here we find, before we this is very important in order to understand Satyajit Roy also, what is called the bold thesis in the domain of philosophy of science. Mulhall presents this theory. This is also called the dissolution of illusion thesis as well. The bold thesis says that a film, as let us follow Mulhall's own word, that I do not look to these films as handy or popular, just merely illustrations of views and arguments properly developed by some philosophers. Rather, I see them as themselves reflecting on and evaluating argues as thinking seriously and systematically. Which system? A system which is unique to film. Systematically about them in just the same way that philosophers do. Such films are not philosophers just philosophy's raw material. These are not the raw material. Rather, and certainly they are not just a source for its ornamentation, mere ornamentation. They are indeed their philosophical exercises, philosophy in action. And that's why he calls this as film as philosophizing. Now, this bold thesis, or what in other words, the dissolution of illusion thesis. The other side of the coin, we can find Paisley Livingstone, who clearly says that to be able to philosophize, film would have to, because make it, but only thing we have to keep it in mind, make independent, innovative, and significant contributions to philosophy by means of, again, the unique to the cinematic medium, which is unique to the cinematic medium. Other where such contributions are independent in the sense that they are inherent in the film and not based on just verbally articulated philosophy or philosophizing, or you may say just written in a manner. And hence, we can find the basic process of understanding the philosophy of film and the engagement property, which is the basic or the in a way spine, the most pivotal part of understanding film from the perspective of philosophy, or for a film to express certain philosophy. There are different degrees of engagement: weak, moderate, and bold, and there are different conditions of engagement. And one thing I would like to make it clear, that from the perspective of philosophy of film, there doesn't exist any art film, commercial film, hit film, or a flop film. This is either an engaging film or it is not an engaging film. Either it addresses certain issues or it doesn't. Now the question of this popular saying of this commercial touch and all these things, these are not an issue at all from the perspective of philosophy of film. Rather, this is an issue of film making process, which we shall discuss later. Now, if we consider these degrees of management in engagement and conditions of engagement, we can find a film is can be considered most bold, most engaging, and the high reaches its highest level when film as a philosophy against any kind of philosophical franchisement, whatever that may be. It can uh, it can dissociate it from that and embraces one kind of critical approach. At the same time, films contribute to philosophy. Its priority of the particular, particular in the sense from a particular perspective. And there are certain conditions, such as representation of the themes and the ideas with which a film is actually made, and different philosophical methods. These philosophical methods may not be like, while philosophizing through film, may not be like our common popular methods, such as the Socratic method or phenomenological method or any other kind of dialectic methods. But maybe this can be there. In fact, there are some very unique methods in presenting its arguments we can find in the domain of philosophy of film. Next is the philosophical thinking, that is engaging with a philosophical problem. And self reflection and experience is very important, because after all, cinema or film is often called the director's medium also. So, because director here plays the main narrator or the central narrator's role, and from that we can find that this is the landscape with which actually we do philosophize through a film, or what is the basic concern we of philosophy of film with regard to its method, methodology, and its different aspects, everything. I believe I'm clear up until now. So from here, we need to understand that, as we have stated earlier, that a film, from the philosophy of film's perspective, this is there are basically three aspects. One is its literary aspects, one is the theatrical aspects, and one is the cinematic aspects. And when we do philosophy through a film, we need to address these the different internal and the external questions from all these three perspectives. And when we think of philosophy of film, we have to understand a film with all these three aspects together, not dissociating any one of them. For example, literary aspects. These aspects are basically the plots, that means the story, the characters, character establishment, setting, different themes, different point of view, recurring images, and numerous symbols. In short, as we are very familiar with reading a book, this is the literary aspect of the film. When it comes to theatrical aspect, we find that different actors portraying some characters through dialogue. In some cases, maybe dialogues here, dialogue doesn't only mean the articulated dialogue, also different kinds of body languages as well is considered as one kind of sending message. Costumes, makeups, props, sets, locations, everything. This is the theatrical aspect, which we are in short we are familiar with while we observe a drama or a theater or a play in the stage. And now comes the cinematic aspect, which comprises of mainly three elements. That one, some elements unique to film, its making theory, and its impact with respect to engagement with its different degrees, as I have just stated. Now, this elements unique to film, which we have seen already, that many of the philosophers of film, many of the critics, they have continuously emphasized upon that. What is that unique to film? How does a film is different from other form of aesthetics or other forms of performing arts? How does philosophy of film differs from mere film reviewing or film critiquing? This is one of the most important thing. Now, a phases that a maker, for example, Satyajit Ray, he has identified there are five main stages through which a film is being made. Development of the ideas, its pre-production. Pre-production means the ideas and arrangement of the associated or respective characters, their actor, actresses, the locations and all. Production is basically actually filming this whole process, where that unique element of film plays the most crucial role, and rest is the post production. That is one of the most important thing, is editing. And after the filmmaker, the most important role for a film played by the editor, and then its distribution. Now, before we enter into this unique concept and the understanding the film language, the film's unique elements, Let us just hear in a very quickly what Satyajit Roy himself says about filmmaking.
Well, actually, style is a combination of many factors of, of the movement, of the people, of the quality of the landscape, of the textures, the visual textures, of the manner in which words are used, language is spoken, and the rhythm of life itself. I think the rhythm of the film must, to a certain extent, reflect the rhythm of the life of the people. You know, I have my own dissatisfaction. But we did our best. We were not always able to do it. Well, actually,
So this is exactly Satyajit Roy's own view, for which we have to pass through these all five phases. Now comes that particular thing. What is unique to film? The very language of film. In our common philosophical understanding, we can find two types of semiotic theories. One is proposed by Ferdinand de Saussure, and another is of C.S. Peirce. Saussure maintains that a signifier is a sign of physical form, and a signified is the meaning or idea expressed by that sign. And signifier can be a printed word, sound, image, everything. Signified is a concept, a thought, object, or idea. And by means of whether a signifier is properly encaptured the signified or not depends on that is the basic thing, which either if it can properly do that, then the meaning successfully is conveyed, otherwise it is not. Similarly, in the context of C.S. Peirce, we can find that an icon, he says, has a physical resemblance to a signified, the thing being represented. For example, a piece of rose, a photograph is a good example, as it certainly resembles what it actually depicts. An index shows the evidence of what's being actually presented. A symbol has no resemblance between the signifier and signified. Apparently, this is somehow a, a different line than that of proposed by Saussure. Now, we need to understand Satyajit Ray's own semiotics. In the philosophy of film, as I have just stated, it talks about the thesis as a bold thesis that a film is basically one kind of dissolution of illusion, or realistically or more realistic than real. Now, the thing is, there, no matter whether we subscribe to Saussure or for that matter C.S. Peirce, uh, in the context of philosophy of film and its language, we find there are, and with respect to, of course, that bold thesis, the delusion of illusion, some or one there is one kind of semiotic which is called semiotically open delusion, and another is called semiotically restricted delusion. What is that? Say, for example, if we can see in the right side, the a particular scene from the modern times, or great dictator, or breathless, whatever, there we can find whatever that semiotic semiotic interpretation or the meaning is tried to conveyed by the director is perhaps more or less the same for the viewer of the film. Maybe there are some differences, but the core thesis is same. And in the context of philosophy of film, this is called a chaos, where basically, apart from what is being shown directly through a particular scene, maybe not the whole film, in a particular scene, maybe uh, the intentionally or maybe unintentionally director and the viewers engagement with respect to thought is almost same or closely akin. But in case of an open delusion of illusion, or as we may put it meta-theoretically, what is called semiotically open delusion, we can find that there are cases where we can interpret it in different ways, and in those different ways can lead to different consequence with as far as the understanding of the thesis is concerned or the film is concerned. So I have taken a particular scene from Satyajit Roy's film Monihara. Let us watch. Up until this particular moment, the film has been now in the Monihara is adapted from one masterpiece of great Rabindranath Thakur, and there we find that one character named Phoni Bhushan is the narrator, and here we can find that no particular character is basically narrating the film. And up until this position, the film is supposedly, uh, or rather, I should say, film a story within the story. A particular schoolmaster, a character, is narrating a story, and that is being depicted here by Satyajit Roy. And we find almost this is a kind of a horror film, or a kind of a film that basically talks about uh, human interplay with the spirits. And uh, now here, as if that thesis of a ghosts or spirits interplay with human being is being established, as we may as if up until then, up until now, if someone observes the film, it seems that really indeed there is a ghost and there is a normal human being, and the film talks about that thing. But now,
বলি ও মশাই শুনলেন তো কেমন লাগলো
now the film enters again into the character who has been stating this story, and we find then
আরে কাহিনী চমৎকার অনেক ভুল তা আপনি জানলেন কেমন করে আমার নাম নমস্কার
now this is the freezing scene in the technical term, or the last scene as we normally say, This is the last scene of this particular film. The when the narrator, that particular character, a schoolmaster, when stated the whole story and asked that person that whether he had enjoyed this story, or how did actually he find it. He says that character whom we have seen just got disappeared, wrapped with some wrapper, uh, is saying that the story is fine, but there are certain things which are not proper, which are inexact. Then this character asks, how do you know this? And that character says, because I am the Funibhushan, and who is supposedly as a character portrayed in this film in actuality. But again, one may conceive, and the way he disappears, one may conceive that this is, well, a perfect ghost story, a story, a horror story. But if we can look at the freezing scene, we can find there is a piece of umbrella, there is a piece of object, and uh, chili, what is actually used for smoking weeds. Now the viewer of the film, and since the story here is narrated not from any character's perspective, from the director's perspective, from the meta perspective, which is called the uh, top down approach. Now one may be curious whether that was indeed the character, whatever he has narrated and whatever we have seen in the film, that is indeed such a interplay between spirits and the human being, or it was all just a hallucination and intoxication due to the overdose of this intoxicating things such as weed or marijuana or whatever. Now it becomes two direction. There comes two direction. One is a psychological, and one is a properly paranormal. This is called semantically open delusion with respect to delusion of illusion or the bold thesis. Am I audible properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. So let's move on. Now, all these things that we have seen, this creating delusion, and and operating with the illusion, and finally making a delusion of illusion, and engaging this every thoughts and ideas to its viewers as conveyed by the directors. Everything that we have seen, that has happened through the camera. And so, whatever, when we consider the language of film, we need to understand certain role that a camera plays. Different shots, because these shots and angles, they are considered as the building blocks of creating the cinematic language. We can see, we are very familiar with certain extreme wide shot, some wide shot, this is called a medium shot, and so on, the close shot, extreme close shot. But how actually it differs, just merely as a with respect to its apart from the distance or the actual content, how actually it creates certain difference in understanding. This is a shot which was taken as a extremely wide angle shot, and that too taken from up top to bottom. That means in a top down approach. These such shots actually convey the basic element upon which the camera is apparently focused, maybe in a central position, but with respect to some other characters whom we can see here also, and it signifies one kind of maybe uh, feebleness of the character. On the other hand, when we try to present something as a diabolical, something gigantic, we usually take the shots from the lower angle and as an extreme close up, right? So these are the ways. This is just some issues that I have talked about. There are many other very unique concepts of film, such as one is called visual noise. I mean, directing not only through the particular frame, but directing its viewers from a definite angle as director wants it to be, by means of projecting camera to something and creating another and presenting another thing, object, concept with some different kind of sound, maybe in slow motion or in a different motion, just to bifurcate our diverse our particular thinking of that shot as the director himself or herself wants it to be. So there are such unique uh, things. But what is a shot, and what is I mean, how does this with which we have started, a particular shot, a particular still picture and a motion picture, they differ, and what exactly is the mechanism? With respect to the language of film, from the perspective of philosophy of film, there are certain concepts we need to understand. One is called frame, the smallest piece of information in the film. That means when the camera is not at all tilted or panned, just taking something randomly to some object. Then comes shot, a continuous camera take without disruption, maybe to one object, maybe to many objects, but without any disruption. A scene is basically the place or setting where the action is being filmed, and sequence is a series of that scenes where shot that complete a particular subject, a particular idea, a particular thought, and a sequence ends when the subject matter change through the change of the angle or the frame of camera. This is the whole process with which the language of film syntactically, actually syntactically, uh, we have to we conceive it. Now, with all these notions and all these ideas that we have gathered so far as very introductory ideas, we can now we are ready to uh, view one very short film of Satyajit Ray. However, a very highly famous and highly appreciated film. This is its name is Two, a Film Fable. Let us read the film from the perspective of philosophy of film. Before that, we need to keep it in mind throughout when we will be watching this film that there are 4 layers we have to consecutively, through its language, we have to keep it in mind. One is the quest, the phenomenal appearance and provocation, that means with which the issue is being introduced. Second is the attitude, that is the sublime reality or and semiotics of very broad questions, deep questions, which are not very not in the surface, maybe which are implicit there. Third is its multidimensional engagement, and fourth is the metamorphosis of the ideas, whether ideas can ideas are changed in any particular perspective. Let us watch the film first. Now, this is the film. Now, we can find there are certain theses. One is we can interpret it in obviously in a different way, but one way of interpreting we can do this like materialism is not the ideal path to happiness. Just see everything sequentially that this rich boy, as portrayed in the film, he has. But at the end of the day, we can find that his great ivory tower is one of the things by means of which he was very proud is being collapsed by one of his so-called so-called material object, his another possession. And now ultimately at the end of this child's play we can find that he is at the end of the day, at the end of this film, is not happy at all. So the materialism is may not be the ideal path to happiness. Another thing we can find that grinding poverty does not necessarily, in some cases obviously, but does not necessarily mean that the life is not worth living. That boy, we have seen the boy first started this playing the flute in his own. Then he was somehow in a duel with the rich boy, and ultimately he again back to his own. After all this rivalry, he has somehow he has found his own tranquility in his own pleasure again in that way of playing flute. So his way of his way, if we can conceive it from the existential point of view of living a life as opposed to leading a life, now we can find that there are plenty of things with this poor boy as well with which he can live a life as he wish it to be. Another thing that as Russell says, that war doesn't determine who is right, that is correct, rather who is left, who are just ultimately surviving. These two pictures shows that one shows that infallible capacity of human being, human spirit, human resilience to pick up the peace after great, even after a great loss, even after losing a battle, and to move on, to find a quiet and undisturbed corner of the world to resume living a life all over again. And on the other hand, even after winning a battle, even after winning a wrestle, the hollow rewards of victory, sometimes earned through the vile means, especially in the battle which shouldn't have taken place in the first place, and doesn't actually lead us to what exactly we thought we are proud of, we thought that made us powerful. Also these things. Now let us come to some internal questions. This very very Mickey Mouse cap, this Coca-Cola brand, this Eisenhower clock, watch, wristwatch, all these things you can find these are very costly. These are plenty of things that particular boy, the rich boy has, but without any kind of proper attention, without any kind of proper uh, proper means, or what he maybe deserved from his family, even in one scene we have found that there was his gesture of saying someone bye was not properly acknowledged as well. And from this on we can conceive this interpretation to some very domain of philosophy of structural biology, because we know that loneliness due to being neglected, especially in childhood, affects the activation of one particular neurotransmitter, dopaminergic neurons and serotonergic neurons. These two are the key to our emotional well-being, our mental well-being. And whenever we fall in the trap of things such as dopaminergic neurotransmitter or dopamine hormone, we always, there is a chance that our great potential, our great future can be ruined, jeopardized entirely. And thus we can say an elixir can turn into venom. Of course, the reverse is also there. Now, these two particular, the way these two particular boy they were portrayed, can we not find in this rich boy a very American, and in this poor boy not merely a opposition, rather rest of the world kind of flavor? The very in fact this very Mickey Mouse cap and this huge bungalow, this Coca-Cola, each represents at the end of the day the Americans. This is just one question. One may think in this way. Many other questions can be raised, like another. Was there, the way their gestures were shown, in spite of the fact that the boy's freedom was in cage, a kind of a caged freedom, and that poor boy's freedom was a natural freedom. But can we not just, from the perspective of this rich boy's endeavors, can we not find a Hegelian master-slave mind screen from this rich boy to this poor boy direction? Someone may think. Another thing, recognizing others as others. We can always find in this poor boy, there is a recognition of each and everything, which is a means of his well recognized means of his happiness from the beginning to end. But what about this rich boy? Can we not find exactly the opposite in this context? Let's move on. This whole these things, these his gestures, whatever things he has, and his endeavors, this shows one kind of very unnatural child activity. Because if we can find his kicking the ball in this house abruptly, or playing with fire in a, which is a dangerous element for any children, confused in spite of having so many precious things, at least as far as brand value is concerned. After all, is he really free to do what he actually want to do, he actually wants to do? And thus the question we can raise, in fact Satyajit maybe has raised, that what is freedom? What is actually the meaning of freedom? What is actual freedom if the meaning of the freedom is not known? Now, here comes some of my observation as well. If we can conceive, as we have just discussed, rich boys costumes and other props means with the other things with which he is being shown, that has some kind of, all these things have some American flavor or portrayal of America, because this film, when it was filmed, then the Vietnam War is on its peak. Now the another thing why I would like to stick to my view is that the boy, that particular flute the boy was has been playing, that was not a very common Indian flute that we are all familiar about. This is one kind of South, one particular kind of musical instrument, a flute, which has essence of Vietnamese together with the they use it when at the time of four tranquil seasons. Particularly, it is popular in the countryside. It is traditionally played by the Vietnamese farmer whenever they take a break from their daily working in the fields, or even at the night before going to bed. Next is all these wide angular shots that are taken, as I the way I have discussed these shots and angles. They are all there are certain shots are top down, certain are bottom up, to show the difference of status of the character, not the status of wealth, the status of the very contradictory nature. In one side, the boy has the rich boy's freedom is a caged freedom. On the other hand, the poor boys very uh, inconvenience. In spite of all its inconveniences, he is free to choose, even if it is getting back to the square one. And now the body production, that is the way their body language is being shown. The characters are spatially limited and temporally undefined. That means this can be a story of, this is a story which is pertinent and conveys some meaning, some questions. It can uh, 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 it can uh, put forward, which is, even if possible, with the same kind of narration anywhere, but it is spatially limited, means there has to be the spatial conditions, the internal issues that were shown the way exactly in the film. But temporally, it can be a story of any time. Even today, it is very relevant. And we can find there is a multi-linear narrative. However, as I have just stated, they are open temporally as far as the transparency thesis, or semiotically open delusion thesis we conceive, which another popular uh, such interpretation, such kind of treatment we can find in Godard's very popular film, The Band of Outsiders. This layer, this narrative, maybe it seems like one liner. There is a start, then the problem or the issue of the film is story is shown, then the struggle comes, and then there is a closure and end with a particular consequence. But we can find all these things. There are, if we consider the language of film and the very engagement of film from the perspective of philosophy of film, it is multi-layered, however linear, but multi-layered. And sound, both diegetic and not diegetic, that means that the background music, now what we call the BGM, the background music, or the the film is not a silent film. We have to keep it in mind. There was no particular ordinary linguistic dialogue is given to any of the characters. but there are different gestures which conveys many things, many words we can find there. Now the question is, did I miss anything in discussing the narrating, interpreting, analyzing this film from the perspective of philosophy of film? Actually, yes, many things. Because as we have from the very beginning, we have been, I'm trying to say that this is the beauty of Ray's films with semiotically open delusion, where many interpretations can be possible from each nuanced frame. And why I am just talking about Ray's such kind of treatment just because he's an Indian or a Bengali? No. If we can just see Jack Schneider's films, this is a very, very iconic scene of Satyajit Roy's 1966 film Nayak. And when Jack Schneider made another film, and let us conclude with this after seeing this visual. Here we can find there was a frame to frame, shot to shot copy of Satyajit Roy in Jack Snyder's much critically acclaimed film Man of Steel 2013. But he has kind enough to recognize that he could not find to establish one particular dream sequence. Both are dream sequence. Uh, but to follow Satyajit Roy's particular sequence, and he has acknowledged that not in any interview or somewhere else, in that film in itself, in the film credit. And there are numerous such films where we can show this type of treatment, the use of cinematic language, elements unique to film, and its way of philosophizing is still relevant today. So, with this, I would say thank you. And just to put it on record that all photos and videos are taken from the internet and purely for academic purpose, and definitely not any commercial and any other vested interest such as violation of intellectual rights or copyrights, etc. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks so much, Dr. Mukhopadhyay, for reflecting on the philosophical dimension of Satyajit Ray's film. Really, we are very speechless when we have witnessed the entire talk and the film and its philosophical reflection. You have made it very clear that how how you have picturized the language of films into 4 layers, and to have given the multi individual equipments and different things, and you have very clearly reflected on the philosophy film, how philosophy is a medium which got sex to approach the diversities of abilities, background, and communication roles. It is very clear, and how film is is an integrated reflection, and it has the characteristics with general. So it is very clear that you have today reflected upon that a film is a picturization of clarification of concepts, and it also critically evaluates the characters, the theme, the aspects, and by which you have depicted the three aspects of the film, that is the literary aspect, the theatrical aspect, and cinematic aspect. You have also focused on the nature of the film, how it has an ontological status, how it is of a unique platform, etc., and how it is related with the fundamental concepts. You have reflected upon the value of film for doing philosophy. Once upon a time, we thought that how film can be related with uh, philosophy can be related with the film. And you have today given a very bold foundation, that is of the film, that it can be philosophical reflected, and we can see the film from that perspective. And it is also very um, reflective also. And when you are trying to evaluate the different points, different modes, different characters, and you have found the philosophical the exercise, you can say, you have said that how that is the main intention of Dr. Satyajit Ray, is to make the character independent, innovative, and significant. So it has a great contribution. Dr. Ray has a great contribution to the philosophical films. That philosophical reflection is not easily found out, but when you have made research on that, that you are able to unfold the philosophical reflection on different films as you have chosen in Satyajit Ray's films. And you have also found the philosophical elements like argument, experiment, counter example, philosophical thinking, etc., and different reflective thought in Satyajit Ray's films. You have also very clearly uh, given the elements of filmmaking, that is development by ideas, prediction and production, the post-production, distribution, etc. You have given a key role to the use of language, and it is very unique to film. And in philosophy, there is a linguistic analysis. And if the language is very clear, if the linguistic analysis, if there is a linguistic analysis, that is linguistic analysis is taken to be priority, then we can see the philosophical reflection is very clearly found, and one can find the philosophical reflection in linguistic analysis. So Dr. Satyajit Ray has used such a language so that there's no room for confusion, there's no room for the delusion. And you have also made the layers of language like phenomenal appearance, provocation, sublime reality, and different things. And what is very important, that you have demonstrated through your talk, that is the film. It is an excellent film that I ever viewed. And you have seen how you have shown that how materialism is not the ideal path to happiness. It is very clearly reflected, and the philosophical apprehension, the philosophical reflection that we see, that is in this film, is very clear. And you have given different philosophical reflection and different philosophical theory, how it is added with the Satyajit Ray film. And between the you have very clearly reflected the difference between a rich boy and the poor boy, and how you have found the America versus the rest of the world. So within the two characteristics, you have given a very good message to the philosophy, to the intellectuals, and the interpretation and the reflection that you have made. It is very clear, and how the unnatural is different from the natural activities, and how one is confused that after having a rich status, how there is a reflection of emotional psychology. So thank you so much, sir, for giving a very excellent talk on the Satyajit Ray's philosophical reflection in his film, and you have very clearly reflected the beauty of the body language, beauty of the language of film there, and the engagement of character, and the beauty of gestures that you have made clear that how the beauty of gestures reflects many things, how the non-verbal language speak more things than the verbal language. And you have given the examples of some of the films of Dr. Satyajit Ray. Sir, Mukhopadhyay, it is very clear. And today you have made a very excellent, valuable thing to our learners, to our participants, to our viewers. Thank you so much, sir. And congratulations. Now I would like to request Dr. K. Rao to go with the interactive session. Dr. Rao.
Namaskar. Thank you, thank you, Dr. Maharana, for a brief synopsis. I also thank the speaker, Dr. Arnab Mukhopadhyay, for a beautiful talk. Well, the picturizations and all, they really matter, and very clearly he tried to put up his position. And well, I will have my own observations later, but to start with, let us move to Dr. Ranjit Ghosh, sir, for his observations and queries. Over to Dr. Ghosh. Namaskar, sir. Please, Dr. Ghosh.
Thank you, Dr. Rao. I think I am audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Perfect.
Yes,
Yes.
So I must congratulate Dr. Arnab Mukherjee for his very illuminating idea on Satyajit Ray's film. He has taken the case study that is true.
Thank you, sir.
I have not seen this picture, but anyway, I will come to that. But first of all, let me say that how he starts. Now, Dr. Mukherjee has differentiated between philosophy of film and film as philosophy. This is the first differentiation he has made in bringing out Satyajit Ray's philosophy. And this, when he's talking about Satyajit Ray, it is actually taking me back in down memory lane to the year 70s, when I was present in one of his, when he was taking a shot in Indrapuri studio, and I was present there fortunately because we had also booked another studio there for our Odia film. So I have seen him picturizing one picture for one of his picture. I do not remember exactly what was that picture. Now I would say that Satyajit Ray was not only a multifaceted genius, he is a philosopher in disguise, I should say. He is a
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
he was a philosophical cinematic personality, I should say, because he has entered into the every aspects of cinematic production, starting with the script writing and then editing, then picturizing and everything. I have seen him
And music. Music.
yeah.
Music,
Yes,
sir,
music.
also music.
Yes, in Gupiga and Bhagavan, he has written the lyrics also. And as he was a great composer also. He has taken all the compositions, making a blending of the Western and the Indian music. So his background of Santiniketan has helped him to do all these things, because as I know that you have talked about development, pre-production, production, post-production, and then distribution. This how he was making the development of the film. When he brings something in his mind, he was trying to make the script in the art form. Every scene, every shot he used to take was already made by him beforehand. And at the time of production, I have seen that he, after asking the characters to do this or that, he first used to see the camera, and through the lenses he okays the thing, and then he asked Somendra Rai to picturize the picture. So I was fortunate rather to see him filming a film. Now, what is important in him, all these aspects are not found in a particular person. So he is to be remembered for his versatile genius. For all this, he has entered every aspect of cinematic production. I should say that from the development and pre-production, production, post-production, he had excellent idea about all these things. Now, coming to the film as philosophy, why I brand him as a philosopher, because you will find in every film of Satyajit Ray, you will find all the theories, philosophical theories are coming, and time and again. You find realism there, you find naturalism there, and you find all the picture that you have shown us, the two. And it is giving a psychological thing, that is a metamorphosis of ideas, as you were telling. So he was a versatile reader as well. I should say he was very much acquainted with all these Camus, Sartre, and all these French writers, and every the European writers of his time. So for this, I should say that one thing, you see in this picture, you have made your own analysis. Now, so far 2 is concerned, you see he has excellently depicted, I saw it through you for the first time. He has made a distinction between haves and have-nots. The way you are making the American and the Vietnamese.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but this is different from the pictures you find with Minal Sen or Ritik Ghatak, because you see they are cinematic were mostly neo-realistic, and they were very much concerned about bringing out the social problems. Now here in this too, you find a social hiatus, but still this is mostly a psychological one rather than anything between haves and have-nots. These two.
Of course, and that is the beauty of semiotically open delusion. I mean, thesis.
Yeah. So
Mostly we find in especially Mrinal Sen, I very humbly I am saying, my observation goes, his most of the films are semiotically closed delusion.
Yeah.
Very
right.
crude, very raw, very direct.
Yes. So the appeal of Rai's films are more than Sen's or Ritik Ghatak's, because you see they were used to depict all the darker aspects of life, but they don't have any message for the future, or any futuristic thing you don't find with them as you find with Rai. That is my point of view. And another thing I would like to say that this multi-layered version, as you have given on to this multi-layered thinking of the mind of children, and specifically belonging to two different class, and you are bringing the American and the Vietnamese. Yeah. But and so far as Nayak is concerned, Rai was excellent. So he might have borrowed all great minds. They borrow ideas from the previous great minds. So we need not blame him on this issue. And similarly, you take
no, sir. I have not blamed anyone. In fact, Jack Snyder himself in that film, he has acknowledged Satyajit Ray, and it was our pride that he clearly stated that he could not. His own word was he could not resist himself, but to recreate the sequence in his film for the demand of his film.
Right. Very nice. So, and taking the Hindi films, you take the case of Hindi films in Abhijan, starting with Abhijan, you take the
Shotgoti also.
Satranj Ki Khiladi.
Surprise ke khiladi,
So,
yes.
so
I have just confined myself in a restricted domain because I mean there are lots of films,
yeah,
and
yeah,
as you have just stated, we can discuss this issue for long and long. I have just
yeah, yeah,
tried to
yeah.
confine myself in a restricted domain and tried to basically uh, focus on the area which is the very basic in the context of understanding a film.
Right, right, right. But in his film, you find all the sociological issues in Mohanagar and in Charulata. Everywhere you find these social issues are there. The all the other things which are very much present in our day-to-day happenings are all present there. But he has not made such bold. Those issues were not made bold by him as made by Minal Sen or Ritik Ghatak. This is what
Exactly.
I.
It was always subtle,
Yeah, it was always open
always
because
open and subtle.
yeah, yeah,
Not,
yeah,
not in a very, I mean, with the hammer and pin
yeah, right.
to directly hit on the audience mind.
He was always in favor of the imaginative aspect of the audience. That is it. And take the case of science fiction. These days we find Professor Sanku always. You see, he was the filmmaker who can make thought experiments. These days we discuss
Absolutely,
personal
absolutely.
identity, thought experiments in philosophy of mind. All those things are there
Mhm.
in Rai. So it is a very vast study. You make your work more and more on Satyajit Rai along with your students.
Thank you.
So that will be a great job. Thank
Thank
you. Thank you very much.
thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ghosh, for your nice observations. And I could see even the responses of Dr. Arnab right there in, and I was happy with your comments, your observations. So thank you so much, sir. Anybody who has an issue, any suggestion or any query, they may come forward, unmute themselves. Well, I don't find anybody, but till the time somebody responds, well, I have a small query whether any talk of philosophy of film, whether we need to confine ourselves to the art films or whether it can be extended to any movie or any even the commercial movies. How do you see this?
Sir, I have just stated there doesn't exist from the perspective of philosophy of film, there doesn't exist anything such as art film or commercial film. A film like Gupiga in Bagabain, a film like Feluda, which kind of film you would say? Whether this is art film or a commercial film? There are two kinds of films from the perspective of philosophy of film. And for a sincere, sophisticated, and sophisticated critical mind, that is either it's a good film, it can convey its message, or it fails. Simple. There is, and in this interpretation, a film, any film, say for example, a film like Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge of Shah Rukh Khan, can be analyzed in the same way. That is also, for me, maybe for me, that is a good film which we can analyze from the perspective of philosophy of film. And this is this any of these films of Satyajit Ray that can be analyzed from the perspective of films. And there are other films maybe very commercially successful. For example, I very humbly, but I'm very since I'm a father of a daughter, I'm really very scared of trend. Films like commercially successful films like Kabir Singh, commercially successful films like Animal, which actually there is no logic in the script, not properly well treated, not properly well documented, ideas are not clear, and some very vague dark, what we call dark existentialism in nowadays, that is conveyed by different kinds of misogynistic, different kinds of women oppression is being celebrated there. I would simply call them a bad film, neither a commercial film nor a art film. I will call them bad films.
Yes, thank you. That's the concern that I have. Well, when we talk of philosophy of films, well, we may well, it may be extended to certain
In fact, while we have been talking, my little daughter, when we have been talking, I have just articulated the name, the animal, and the Kabir Singh. My daughter simply showed me just written a line that very bad influence, and showed it to me. My young daughter could understand this, and she doesn't want to, after seeing some of portions of the film, she refuses to watch that film. And Hirok Rajar Deshe, Ranjit sir, when he was very young, he conceives it in one way, and now he conceives it in another way. I, in my age, I can observe this film from one perspective. But no matter, the only thing I am sure of, Ranjit sir, you may ask that even both of us are given an option. We can see Hirok Rajar Deshi, Gupi Gain, Bagabain, or that of Satranj Ke Khilari, or that of Shatgoti, and these films repeatedly, time in and time again, because these are good films.
Thank you. So that was the concern
Of
again.
Rai, they were all value based. They were based on values and positive values always. But you can make a distinction between pre-globalized cinematic forms and post-globalized cinematic forms. And now the films you find, they are full of all negativities, the violence. This you are talking about animals, Kabir Singh, and everything. So everywhere you find all the negative elements. Those are being shown in such a way that it will affect the young minds. Because young minds are they are very what should we say, they are like soft the soils, and all these things, when it is entering into their mind, they are polluting them. So this is how you can make a distinction between this. And even in Bengal, you see these days what type of films are coming. So all those great things, even you find all the type of films which were family films, like Tarun Majumdar's films, all the films.
Obviously, Tarun Majumdar, Tapan Sinha.
Yeah, Tapan Sinha's, Tarun Majumdar's films. So
Exactly.
those things are not found these days. You find all this type of only the dishum dushum, I should say.
Exactly.
And these days you might have seen Dev has come to some sense, and he has started making some good pictures.
Very good pictures. Yes.
But Jeet, if take the case of Jeet, all these the pictures are just
Mindless.
Mindless,
dishum.
mindless. So this is how we have to live. And again, you are talking about your daughter. She has to be grown up with this situation. What to do? Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Ghosh, and thank you, Dr. Arnab Mukhopadhyay. Well, that was the concern. So when we talk of philosophy of films, we need to restrict. Well, there may be an extension to certain commercial movies, but the restriction may be to a large extent to the art films, which really carry some message and really gives some shape to the society, or it gives a picture, a true picture with some logic, with some reason. But as you said, even when your daughter responds to the films that they come today without any logic, without any understanding, without any clarity, without any precision, it's a what I say, it just go and watch movie and nothing to come out of it. So thank you, Professor Mukhopadhyay. Well, anybody any question, any issue? Yes.
Sangjukta Basu. I just retired from Rabindra Bharati University. I used to teach philosophy at Rabindra Bharati University, Kolkata. I have just a few questions. First of all, to Dr. Mukhopadhyay, would you consider Satyajit Ray's 2 on from the point of view of the filmmaker Ray himself, as film as philosophy? Because you made a distinction, philosophy of film and
From
film
rather,
as
I would
philosophy.
I would
Do you think that Satyajit Ray, the filmmaker himself, made this film to convey certain of his ideas or philosophy? I mean, can we see it as film as philosophy?
from the perspective of philosophy of film, this this particular film definitely can be considered as a film doing philosophy. That is, film with a philosophy. But whether that philosophy, as we understand, and the philosophy as what Satyajit Ray maybe himself tried to convey, may be different. That is the beauty of
Yeah.
semiotically open
Yes. Yes.
delusion thesis.
Yes.
So, this from the perspective of philosophy of film as a meta discipline, this film as an object level case can be considered, of course, a very well made film with a philosophy portraying many philosophical ideas. But
Yes.
those
Yes.
ideas may differ from me and you.
Yes. Further question. Okay. You said that we all understand now that film itself is a medium, is a language. It has its own language, like any art form. So, in case of symbolic language, we find in its syntactic or grammar part, we find certain basic symbols or you mentioned it, that short frame. But what about the rule of combination? That is formation rule we find in our written or spoken language grammar, which is succinctly called grammar. So what about the grammar apart from the units, shorts, frames, etc.? What about the grammar? Is there any well formed grammar?
Yes, there are, exactly like any ordinary language, exactly like different kinds of logical system, different kinds of mathematics. There are many such syntactic rules. I have, for the sake of our audience and for the sake of the time constraint, I have not entered into that. One such particular, as we interpret it today, one such particular formation is called the arbitrariness of fugic language, which we can find in the films of Spielberg. Especially, we can consider Munich. Especially, you can consider Saving Private Ryan, or in Schindler's List. And there are other forms and other interpretations and other systems as well. I have purposefully not discussed that
Okay.
in detail. Yes, yes, yes. Of course, there.
And when you mention Manihara, Satyajit Ray's Manihara, and we all have seen the film, most of us have seen the film, there is a story within the story. Can we compare it within the film, the as the distinction between meta language and language?
Yes,
That
of
is,
course, of course, of course.
that is the one who is telling the story.
Hmm.
He his when he's narrating it, it is the meta filmic language.
Of course, of
And
course.
okay.
In specifically in Nayok, as Ranjit sir just tried to say a few minutes ago,
Mhm.
that film has in fact 7 layers of meta and meta language,
Oh my God.
And in Monihara, we can find, obviously, we can find at least three languages. One is the language of when we see the film, whatever we see, that is one language. And whatever is ultimately the consequence lead us to, and creates a dilemma where the thesis of delusion of illusion comes into the account, that is another language. And the way Satyajit Ray himself has narrated the film as a director, we have to keep it in mind. In the original story, Monihara, written by Rabindranath Tagore, there Fonibhushan has been stating the whole story. He was the character through whose lens we come across the entire discourse. But here it is neither you nor me nor even Fonibhushan or the Master Moshai. It is rather director's one medium. That is three levels of language is already there.
Okay, thank you.
However,
you.
Nayak is, as Sir rightly pointed out, Nayak is not only multi-layered, it is of multi-levels. It uses multi-levels of language, and with many types, many orders, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, madam, for the question, and also I thank the speaker for the response. Very good response. And well, I see Rima Sahasi, she wants to say something. Well, please. Anybody? Well, she is not responding. Anyway, anyone? Okay, so well, I'm not well versed in philosophy of films, but still I may have certain clarifications from you. When we talk of the ontological status of films, how do you see the fiction, the films that carry fictions, or the scientific fictional movies? How do you see this?
From the perspective of film, philosophy of film, these films are called noumenal touch. The way Kant distinguishes between noumena and phenomena, all these issues pertaining to social problems, social dilemmas, treated properly, improperly, these are called phenomenal touch. And those issues like fairy tales, like ghost stories, these are, in fact, one very great example is in Inception. Recent film, in fact, awarded with many Oscar awards. These films are called noumenal turn.
Thank you. Well, again, well, Rima Sasi wanted to say something. Well, I don't find her again. Well, anybody from the participants, anything? Anybody wants to say something? Wait a minute. In the meantime, let me share my just one recent film that I have seen, where you see the way you were saying the message that the films convey, and the quality, the intents that film carries. Recently, I was into a movie where a farmer, after working hard in the fields and selling the paddy for a low price, and his son questions why not he moved to the city side, having more of income. Then the father responds with a bit of tears in his eyes, says, agriculture is not a profession, it is a way of life. So this sort of message is not coming these days. Agriculture is not a profession, it's a way of life. So when we talk of the films, when you talk of the quality of films, when you talk of the message in the films, when we talk of philosophy, you see the philosophy that this one sentence conveys. So these things are missing these days. So that's why there is a concern for, especially when we talk of philosophy of films. So the other position that you have taken, philosophy, film as philosophy. So, well, that is one side that we need to see film itself as philosophy. And if that comes true, well, it is missing these days. And if that comes true, then really the study of films will become a part of it becomes a reflection of the society, and it gives a positive message to the society rather than the negativities that the modern pictures depict, and the influences, the negative influences that they have on the society. So this is one area where we can even, well, I don't know, well,
No,
things can
this
be
is
done.
a serious concern, and in that case, I am fully in substantial agreement and submission with Ranjit sir that I would rather ask whether these films convey any message, whether they are at all serious. A film can be good or bad, but whether they the very basic question with which I have started, and I have shown many films, I have shown many clips. In each context, you can find some meaning for its existence. Those filmmakers, mostly, I fully agree with Ranjit sir, they are even confused with their ideas. They are, if they can find some idea, they are confused with their language of film. And even if they can manage to bring this together, cannot properly fit into account. So there, these are I mean mindless experimentations. You can definitely, some of the films are very maybe commercially successful, but can you show some, even the ghost stories? What is important for Ray while making of Monihara, it is this interview is available in YouTube, that even in the context of ghost stories, fairy tales, there has to be some logic for the development of the story. Yes, we are in a different realm, maybe, but there has to be some connection. This thing is completely missing, and it was really unfortunate that Ranjit sir, as a so much senior and close acquaintance of Satyajit Ray, he had to say these things.
You see, Dr. Mukhopadhyay, the thing is, the film must start with theme, and that theme is actually the concept of philosophy. So, unless a theme is there, we just cannot build up the structure out of it. So that is why these great filmmakers, they all mostly they start with themes, and Rai was unique because of this. He starts with the theme, he imagines over it, and then he tries to develop it through his own script, and by entire writing the entire script in his own hand in the form of what should be the picturization stance, everything, and then he had all this knowledge of cinematic thing. Even obviously good directors, they were all good photographers as well as cinematographers as well as editors. So these things are everything you find in Rai, which is nowhere found, because you what you are going to present, you first conceive it, and then you try to put it into print in your own way, and you also give a sufficient space for your viewers to think over it and imagine over it what you are going to present.
Absolutely,
That is
absolutely,
important. Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh. Well, um, if anybody is interested to have his or her suggestions or any queries, they are welcome. I'll wait for half a minute. Anybody? Well, we had a very good evening having the lecture from Dr. Mukhopadhyay, and also saw that beautiful film, that comparison between the haves and the have-nots. Very clear picturization. Anybody who understands or who do not even understand the language in which it is picturized, language is not important. The way it is expressed, anybody, irrespective of language, one can understand. That is the clarity that one should have while making films, because the language is not that important. Even the body movements, that makes lot of
That's why I have chosen the film too, because this is not
Yes.
a silent film. We have to keep it in mind.
Yes,
This is
yes.
not at all a silent film,
Silent
but
film.
no language was used.
No language.
And that was the beauty, that how can a film uses its own language, very unique to its own domain, and convey certain things.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, and for selection of that very clipping, because it was so clear. Because and gave lot of message, and it carries lot of philosophy. The death of materialism, the end of materialism. It shows lot of things. Lot many interpretations can be made out of it.
Thank you, sir. Yes.
Thank you for that clip. Well, anybody, I'll wait for half a minute again, and and move to our admin for his views. I'll wait for half a minute again.
Brother,
Well,
I would like to ask Ranjit sir whether my presentation was clear enough or not, other than the messages.
You see, Dr. Mukherjee, it was excellent. I should say it was excellent, because you have not entered into the abstract philosophical what should I say, philosophy of film. That means the epistemological aspect and all the ontological, metaphysical aspects. You have directly entered into the what should I say, phenomenological aspect, rather, in the two, how these things are coming out in two sectors of haves and have nots, and in a very subtle manner, in a psychological presentation. And it had nothing to it could have been otherwise. You see, instead of firing the kite, the boy was very much, these days, if you shoot it, the boy will shoot the other boy with that rifle. So you see the fineness of the sentiment in which the picture was shot, because there should not be any violence in it. That it's all the psychology of the two child, and that is of that age. That is important, and not just to the spreading of violence. That was not the aim. The aim was just to see how the all the having everything will not lead to happiness. The person who is the boy who is roaming around, he is more happier than the person who is having everything.
Absolutely.
So that was the analogy you have given: the robot coming and the tower,
The ivory tower is collapsing.
and
Yes.
demolishing the tower. So excellent. You have taken the right picture, I should say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ghosh and Professor Mukhopadhyay.
hello.
Well, Santosh sir wants to say something. Well, namaskar, sir. Please. Well, sir, please.
Actually, I forgot the time and I was busy with some other work. Then I decided to join at 7:30. But just 5 minutes ago, I forgot all the things. Anyhow, I have only one queries regarding Pather Panchali.
Yes,
Actually, as it was filmed in 1952, perhaps, isn't it? And if it was reproduced, if it is reproduced nowadays, then Durga can have greater importance than Oppu, because sometimes this type of messages are coming in the social media, that Oppu was given too much importance than Durga in this film. Do you have anything to say on this issue?
Santosh da, you are Gurudev, so I can I humbly say a few things. Number one is that you have missed one certain portion that I have already discussed, but you raised the point very pertinent. But the thing is, whether if we can if first of all, if we want to reproduce it today, the question will be raised whether it is for the sake of recreating another film or doing some philosophy, film as philosophy, not philosophy of film. So if the philosophy of film is same, in that case the film would be just another, maybe some other director, maybe you, me, or someone else, or maybe Satyajit Ray himself can create and recreate this film with different ways. But if you talk about all and only to the one aspect, that is literary aspect, whether Durga should be given more emphasis or not, I would rather, this is again, you can understand my situation. I mean, Mahabharat, many people conceive Mahabharat as a battle between Kurus and Pandavas, and many other interpretation. One such interpretation is very popular, that it is the basically a saga of Draupadi's revenge. So, from that perspective, I don't know. Maybe under the circumstance we are all going through, maybe Durga's character can be recreated in a different way. But in that case, the whole thing, whether that would be another Pother Pachali or not, that question will remain.
Yes. What I mean is that whether the situation, the history, the point of history, I am doing some film is also important. That is my point.
Of course.
Time, space, and individual, and also history of time.
Yes. I mean, any film, why only film? Any intellectual documentation is a reflection of its age and philosophy. Of course.
Okay, thank you. No. Okay.
The space-time relativity, we have to accept the space-time person relativity of that time is different from right now the present age. So when the picture was picturized, taking that milieu, that situation may not be present these days. So there should not be any year. We have to consider the time and to consider the age. So space, time, and person are more important when assessing a particular film of the past. That is what I should say. Thank you.
Thank you. Rightly so. Thank you, sir. Well, let us move to our admin. It is 8:40. Let us move to our admin for his comments, observations. Namaskar, sir. Please.
Thank
Are
you.
you there?
Thank you, Dr. Rao.
Sir. Namaskar, sir. Please.
Yes, I really appreciate the presentation of Dr. Arnabji. Very nice presentation. When we are talking about film, there are three things. One is the mind of the director, that is the subjectivity. And there are minds of the audience. And the third one is film itself. We have three elements. Why a particular director is very famous, very successful, only when there is no gap between the director's mind and the minds of the audience. If the gap is more, then we shall say that this director is not so effective. And that film is the medium. We can't say that film has no language. There is no silent movie. In silence, everything is spoken. The background music speaks something. By the background music, we feel accordingly, according to the background music. Suppose in a horror film, the background music is very important. In comic scene also, the background music is very important. Eye gestures, bodily movements, these are all language. We can't say that there is no language. The important thing is what is there in the mind of the director. That is the philosophy of a film. What is there in the mind of the director? It is very personal to him. And once it is picturized, once it is released, it is open for the audience. Now the director's role is over. Now it will be interpreted by the intersubjective elements, but by the audience. These minds are outside minds. These minds are not the mind of the director. Many times in the film that we saw, the comparison between the cage freedom and real freedom, open freedom, the thought that is developing in the mind of the director, that is understood by all of us. We are also audience. When we are viewing that picture, at this moment we are audience. So we understood that. With that feeling, maybe the director can say whether our understanding is exactly same. The director can only say. The interpreters, the researchers, I think they can't say, because the director knows the exact idea, the intention of a particular film or particular story. We suppose that yes, this may be the idea of the director, but there is the gap may be more or less. This is very practical. You go and ask the audience, and the second thing is, suppose some audience could not understand a particular art picture. Now, their time is important. After 20 years, 30 years, when they will view it again, they will understand. This happens also when we read philosophy books. As many times as I read a book, I find new things in it. So what is not understood today, that may be understood after 50 years. So the director knows that my thought will be understood after 50 years, after 100 years. So it is not that the film is released and it is understood by all. And it is not necessary at all, because it is a matter of intersubjectivity. We cannot give that guarantee. And there are many types of audience. There are children, there are young people and old people. Choices are many, likes and dislikes are there. Commercial likes and dislikes are also there. Many factors are there. So what is our mindset to view to accept a particular film with its intent, with its content, with its intention, and with its content? What is the real purpose of the director? It is very difficult to understand, but we are all sensitive people. When we are analyzing philosophically a picture, that when it is released, then that becomes the film as philosophy. That means whatever is in the mind of the director, that is the philosophy. When it is released, it is thrown to the audience, then it becomes the film as philosophy. As a philosophy means it may be interpreted from different perspectives, and it may be released also differently. It may be felt differently. It may be accepted differently. So it is an unending process. No director can say that yes, I am fulfilled, I am complete, because the art has no end. If we'll ask the legendary director Satyajit Ray, are you completely satisfied? He will say no. Because whatever I imagine, I am the director, I am the producer, I am the creator. My imagination has no end. But I gave my best effort. At least it is understood by few people in the proper sense. So its flavor is something different. Therefore, I say it is aesthetic by nature. We release it from the core of our heart when in silence also we understand the language. What is spoken in silence, what is spoken in the silent gesture. Love has no language. Affection has no language. So we can understand through that medium, and that medium is film. The scene, the sound, the language, the sequences, the movement of a body, eye gestures, everything matters. And everything makes our understanding complete, our feeling very subtle, sublime. And at the end, when we try to, when we conclude that yes, I understood this film, that film remains in our memory till our death. Similarly, books also. Whenever we are reading, you see one thing I am telling, you see a film and you are getting imagination. Perhaps it is very natural. Even you read a book, even read a novel, the picturization takes place in your mind through the script also. So that is the mind of the director. Director knows that my script is so strong, even by reading the script, one can picturize. Then he moves to picturize. So the entire completion of the project, that film, is already groomed in the very script, in the very, that is called pre-production. What Dr. Arnab ji said, pre-production. That what is in my mind, it is already picturized in my mind. The way I am going to picturize it, all the sequences are recorded in my mind. Then I am actualizing that in the form of a cinematic technology, cinematic methods, etc. Then it is reaching, it is released, it is it is served for the audience. So we don't think that the comments of the audience, the interpretations of our audience, uh, they will have any impact on the director. No, director knows. Directors, as Vishwarupa Darshana, Lord Krishna knows the entire Vishwarupa Darshana. Arjuna failed to know that. For a very short time, he is taking that chance that at least you see the Vishwarupa Darshana so that you can understand. You should have no confusion. So director has that Vishwarupa Darshana. He knows the entire film. He knows all emotions. He knows the silence. He knows all types of language. He feels all feelings. But when it is served to the audience, somehow or other, to some extent, we release it, we interpret according to our own understanding, we feel it according to our own mental makeup, and we actually, this is for the audience, that somehow or other people will be happy, people will get some lesson, some message, society will be elevated. And so far as the commercial film is concerned, that is for money making. I am not discussing that. I invested this much and I got this much, irrespective of the ethics of the film. That part we are not discussing here. We are discussing about the values. We are discussing about the message. We are discussing about the philosophy of film making. Thank you. I really appreciate, and we shall have a second session next Sunday by Dr. Arnab ji. I appreciate your report. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. This is my understanding. I may be wrong.
Thank you. Dr. Das, for your observations. Well, to add to this, one thing comes to my mind. With a certain philosophy, the director comes up, frames it, and as you said, it is thrown to the public, it is thrown to the viewers, but the director cannot restrict the interpretations of the viewers. The viewers, as an independent interpreters, they can have an interpretation that may transcend even the director's vision. That we cannot restrict. And sometimes the interpretations may be so rich, even the director may feel enlightened finding such an interpretation to the frame that he has set. He never thought of that such an interpretation would come out from this frame. So sometimes this also happens, and this spells out magic. With great directors like Satyajit Ray, things happen like this. Something going beyond his imagination, and the interpretations may be many, and even the director may take notes from the interpreters that, oh, this, even the message that this frame carries out, and this happens with great directors. Maybe this is one thing that came to my mind, and thank you. Well, I don't think anybody it's all. Now let us move to the final part. Let us invite Dr. Kailas Mahana sir for having a formal vote of thanks. Over to Dr. Mahana.
Okay. Okay, thanks so much.
You may have your submission and the vote of thanks. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Dr. Rao. I was listening to the talk of Dr. Arnab. I was also listening to the response of Dr. Arnab when Dr. Ghosh, Madam Sanjukta, Santosh Kumar, Dr. Das, and Dr. Rao were giving their interpretation, giving their observation. I was listening to the response made by Dr. Arnab. It is very excellent. And today I feel honored to listen the talk of Dr. Arnab, and who has made a talk on Satyajit Ray's film. And Dr. Satyajit Ray is a very legendary filmmaker that we have listened from childhood, and he has proved himself as a philosopher, that is through filmmaking and others. And today, what Dr. Arnab has made it very clear that how the thought-provoking ideas could occur in Dr. Satyajit Ray's mind while making the films. And when he was also doing the films, they were very visually stunning also. And as I have seen some of the films of Dr. Satyajit Ray, I have also seen and felt that how Dr. Satyajit Ray's film contains Indian philosophy, Indian culture, tradition, naturalism, existentialism, comedy also, and some of the very pertinent ideas that we have discussed today. And Satyajit Ray could very clearly give the picturization of reality and illusion and different modes of thought. And she was very prone to Indian culture and also Bengali culture in some of the films that he could do. And some of his films are very experimental also, that I could see, I could find. So today, that is, I have no language how to express my deep sense of gratitude to Dr. Arnab, the way he discussed the entire topic, the way he could demonstrate the feeling, okay, that was not possible through only oral talk. And today, he has amazed us by his talking, by his way of speaking, by his way of presenting. And perhaps when I have read some of the that is autobiography of Dr. Satyajit Ray, that I have known that how he was influenced by Rabindranath Tagore, Vivekananda, and some other other philosophers. And he could gather some pertinent ideas and philosophical reflection from them. And he the only filmmaker, film producer, and so to say, film philosopher. That is, he could made a very he who could make a very beautiful gap. Who made who bridged the gaps between the ordinary people of understanding to the intellectual way of understanding, and in different gaps that he has fulfilled. And as Dr. Arnab has said, that there is a universal language, universal reflection in feeling. That is his own ideas, may be called. That he has said that there lies a particular philosophical reflection in any kind of film. It may be science fiction, it may be horror, it may be comedy, or any dramatic, or that is theatrical film. Okay, that he has reflected his own idea. He has also reflected the idea of the great philosophers in connectivity with Dr. Satyaj Rai's film. So today it has been very benefited to all of us. We have learned much things from Dr. Arnab. He has extended our idea. He has extended the dimension of thought that is related to the philosophy of film. So thanks so much, Dr. Arnab. And I extend my gratitude to Dr. Ghosh, who has made a very comprehensive observation on the on the philosophy of Satyaj Ray. And he had said that how Satyaj Ray is a philosopher in disguise. And it is very clear that I must bow down before Dr. Ghosh for the way he has made his observation. And because he is always guide to us, he has already always given his observation whenever he attends our webinar. So I extend my gratitude to Madam Sanjukta, Santosh sir, Dr. Das, Dr. Rao, and all others who are till now to view and to witness the talk, the response, the observations, and comment that is of this webinar. So thanks so much, everybody. I extend a hearty gratitude to all of you to be present with us in this beautiful Sunday webinar. Thanks so much. And I would like to request Dr. Das to wind up this session.
Yes, yes. This session is declared closed, and we are waiting for the next session by Dr. Arnabji with another. Sir, what is the topic? Next topic?
Something from ethics. Probably I currently
No,
cannot
ethics.
recall
Yes,
the title.
relating to
Something will be,
ethics.
yes, yes, relating to ethics and ethics in making
Oh,
a
yes,
decision.
yes. We shall discuss about the ethical perspective of filmmaking.
No, no, no.
So, oh,
Ethical values in taking a decision.
taking a decision. Okay. Relating to film or no? It's general.
No, 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 no. In general.
In general.
General.
Okay.
In
Thank you.
general.
Next Sunday we shall meet. With this session is declared closed. Thank you. Grateful to
Thank
all
you.
of you.